got it together. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Cavalcade of Authors segment. We're doing the Reader Appreciation Weekend, and we have a new lineup of authors that write in a lot of different genres, as well as one subject matter. One of the reasons that I invited Rebecca Royce on tonight is because she writes in a genre, like she said, total uproar, the whole double standards and all of that stuff. So I'm going to tell a little bit about her. Hold on, let me pull this here. There we go. That is one of her titles. And these days, Rebecca splits her time writing all different kinds of romance: reverse harem science fiction, reverse harem paranormal, reverse harem, not harem, harem.
It works either way.
Werewolf romance, and rumor has it that she's going to be writing some young adult romance again soon. She can almost always be found online. That's Facebook, IG, and everywhere else. Now let's get into it. Now, this is the main reason why I had you to come. It is because this particular genre is not known by a lot of people, which is the reverse harem.
So
Harem.
Reverse harem is actually selling really, really well. I would say that there is a number of readers who have discovered it over I'd say the last 5 years. It really boomed. I didn't invent it. I just sort of discovered it very early and started writing it. It's interesting. If you take a look at the bestseller lists, you will find RH. Most of us just call it RH at this point. RH books sort of at the top of the bestseller lists over and over again. And I think it's because of what we call, we will say hashtag why choose. And, that's why it's frequently that our heroines don't have to make a choice at the end of the book between their guys. Most of us would, so it's complicated. There's no real rules with RH, except that I think most people would say that an RH book falls between 3 to 5 heroes, but it could be more than 5. I've read some excellent RH that have had up to 10 heroes that the heroine ends up with all at the end of the book, it's definitely up and coming and moving, and people seem to be very drawn to it right now.
So why do you think people are choosing, because it's always been the men, more women than men. And
right.
You create
a traditional harem, of course, is a man with many women, and there's lots of, and for good reason, for absolute good reason. There's many feelings about that and negative feelings about that, and completely understand that. I think RH traditionally comes actually out of Korean anime. There were many cartoons and anime made particularly out of Korea, that originally prompted the genre. It was sort of taken. There's a lot of opinions about which author sort of originally started writing it. So I'll throw love to Laurel K. Hamilton, who wrote it for many years, although she does not like to identify it as RH, so that's fine. But C.L. Stone wrote it in young adult for many years, and she picked up an audience of it. I started reading C.L. Stone many years ago, and I started thinking, are these characters, this heroine, really not going to have to pick? She's really not going to have to pick. It wasn't just Menage where you have two, you've got the two, and they're both in love with her and she works it out. You're talking 9, 10 heroes. She's really not going to have to pick. Mm-hmm. And she had pulled out of the Korean anime genre. She really had. And I started to check that out and to see that, and I was really struck by it and consumed by it. And then in my head, because I come from a science fiction romance background, I thought, well, this could be really interesting. What could I do here with this? What could I do with this genre that hasn't been at that point, done? And I thought, well, gee, I can imagine this futuristic time when women are scarce. I know that sounds, but we're talking fiction, this futuristic time when women are scarce, and how might that work? And my first RH series, which was called Wings of Artemis, came out of that, like that idea.
Mhm.
And that was how I ended up writing Reverse Harem. That series turned into 14 books. And then from there, I've written contemporary reverse harem and paranormal reverse harem and all the things that you had listed. It was different for me. I'm out of an MF background, like so many romance authors.
Mhm.
But for me, it's just been, really inspiring and really fun,
Mhm.
to see, like, how do you make it work when that's what I would call a non-traditional thing, and what's interesting about it is that in reverse harem, however the authors choose to write it, and there's so much of it now,
Mhm.
is the woman is really the center of that universe. She's really the center of
Yeah.
it, and in control of it, and powerful. In a true reverse harem situation, she's not being dominated by all of these men. Of course, there is, of course, some of that if that's, the interest, but she's definitely in charge of the relationship, if that makes sense. So it's interesting and empowering, and a shift from the traditional, use of that word, if
What
you
has
will.
been the backlash that you've received?
Hmm.
Because let me tell you, I
Sure.
did a scenario where there was just one woman and
Right.
two men, and she loved both of them,
Hmm.
equally but
I
in
read
different
your book.
ways.
Yes, 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 yes.
And I got the best 3-star review from that because it said the lady said if it was a man doing it, she wouldn't have a problem. But it brought out her inner double standard. She didn't even realize she was adamant about that. And she gave me such a wonderful, it was 3 stars for that reason. But when she explained why she felt that way, I actually posted it without her name. I
Right,
posted it on Facebook. I sold so many books that night uh,
right,
because
right.
of what she was saying. People like, would I feel that way? Would I feel that way? What has been your backlash that you
Of
have
course.
gotten
So,
because
so of course, the use of the word harem is a problem, but I didn't invent it. And it, as my friend, one of my co-writers said, if you prefer the word menage, use that, right? But of course, of the use of the word harem is a problem, and as it should be, because it comes from a situation where women had no power, and where a man was, in some ways it comes, so not all of it, of course, not all of it, but traditionally the use of the word harem is a problem. But so initially there was some backlash about the word harem, but then we said, the reason the word reverse is in front of it is it's taking the traditional power structure and it's turning it on its head. It's turning it on its head. But there are some people who still find that to be problematic, and most of us who write it, we understand that. We understand that. So we'll say, what, if you prefer the word menage, use that instead, because it's not that different. You're talking about menage is usually, as you said, two men and a woman. So polyamorous, multi. That's fine. That's fine too. However, it's however it works for you. It's fine to say it like that. But reverse harem is what was taken really originally from traditional Korean anime, where you did have, in a lot of cases, young adult, a heroine sort of, and multiple heroes, all in love with her at the same time. So, the reason I think it was moved initially into romance, and using that phrase, was because of where it came from, which really was, anime. But if you're not comfortable with that, and that, as you rightly said, is usually the backlash, is the term, that's fine. And I 100% understand that. But it isn't something that we made up. It is something that we sort of took and used in romance that had been used for a long time in other ways.
awesome. So if somebody was just being introduced to you,
Sure.
um, which book would they need to read first,
So
and
if they
why?
wanted
And why?
if so and why? So if they wanted to start with reverse harem, so I've been published for 10 years. You and I have sat on, panels together before, and I've told people before, you pulled me through being shy on panels,
I
like
can't believe that. I can't believe that.
in the best possible way. But I was starting out when, traditional publishing was still how you had to do it, and then it moved into ebook publishing, and now, indie. You did the same thing. You've been through this whole strange adventure, too.
Mhm.
But if we wanted to stick with just, reverse harem,
Mhm.
RH, my most popular series is 14 books. It is complete. It is finished.
It's a
Um,
series of 14?
it changes heroines every 2 books. So it's
Okay.
7 different heroines. The first book is called Kidnapped by Her Husbands,
I read
plural.
that one. I read
Yeah, you read that one.
that
That's right. You would have read that one because we were, yes, yes. So I think that's a great one to start with, because it is the first in a long, it turned out to be and when I started writing that one, I had no idea it would be 14 books later before it was finished. That's what's beautiful about writing. But I think that people like it because it is an interesting world
Mhm.
that over time really develops. It's futuristic. The concept of the book that I wrote was the first time I was trying to write RH. So the concept of the book really was, what if there was a reason that girl babies stopped being born? What if there was a reason that they were scarce and only the wealthy and well-connected could get wives, until there is kind of this uprising, if you will, basically, started by women who are saying, I'm not so interested in being sold like chattel. And I'm going to take, some strength here and decide who I want to be with. And in that case, it's RH in the sense that she ends up with, multiple husbands. And there is sort of a revolution, if you will, that, prompts from the first woman saying, no, I don't accept this. And moves from there. Really, 14 books later, it's quite a different universe that the last heroine is facing.
Mhm.
And I loved it. I loved doing it. I loved being able to explore the themes, involved in that, and what happens when women just say no, like I don't accept this. This isn't okay. And I loved it. So I think that's a great place to start with me. I've written contemporary RH. It's more complicated because you're dealing with, this world, and how would that work?
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
and I loved that too. But I think if somebody was going to start with me, Kidnapped by Her Husbands is a good place to start.
But
And
what is the one that you just mentioned, that the contemporary, what is the first one in that one? That series?
that's called Unconventional.
Okay. Okay.
And then it's a girl, she's in college and she falls in love with 3 guys, and their love is unconventional. It's actually a very, very popular series for me. It's a trilogy. It's finished. um and um and and it works, but it's not, in Kidnapped and in the Wings of Artemis series, you're dealing with a futuristic society that has maybe different expectations of things. When you're writing contemporary RH, you're dealing with the now.
Mhm.
It would be different, for a woman to be out there with 3 guys, and like I'm with all of them. It would be, because you've written it too, the menage, right? Like it's different. Like as you said, like some people have a hard time getting
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
heads around it. But I loved writing it. And I've written 2 RH contemporary series. One of them was called Reverse Harem series. That's the first one, was called Unconventional. And the second one was called Kiss Her Goodbye. And that was more, there's a frightening aspect to Kiss Her Goodbye, that series, but it also ends up in an RH situation. I've loved doing those. Like, how can I fit this into the now?
Gotcha. Gotcha. Wow. I have so much to really cover. It's like we have a few more minutes.
Sure.
And of course, we see a pop up here from Elizabeth. She's going to be the next one on.
Hi,
And
Elizabeth.
you know Elizabeth?
No, but I'm a
Oh,
fan.
she's a fan. Oh, okay, okay.
Oh
Hey,
my, okay. Hello.
yes, indeed. Just coming in to test things out. But I in general, I've really I love that women can now write in um unconventional
Yes, unconventional way,
genres and
right?
not be, and it's a whole group of people writing it. And it isn't just one person saying, well, I'm just going to write this alternative, and that you're just hanging out there by yourselves, that it became so popular that it became a genre.
It did its own genre. I have to throw love to C.L. Stone. She really started doing it before anybody else was doing it. And she wrote it as young adult, which her books are really interesting because there's no love scenes in them. It is purely young adult. And I know your face. It was like, wow, like, how does that work? And people like me were able to take it and, twist it into more adult genres, if you will, like to take it and make it that way. And again, like to take this whole thing that really came out of Korean anime and make it romance novels. They're really, it's quite a turn, if you will. Like it's been an interesting couple of years with it.
Yeah, but we get a little slap and tickle in your books though, right?
Yes. 100%.
Oh, yeah. Not that it wouldn't be interesting without the sex, but I think that's an element of writing it that kind of makes it more complicated, because when it's just about feelings and emotions and miscommunications, that's one thing. But when it comes to this person being pleased, and I hate to say, I think of it on the terms of that women can love multiple children, have 3 or 4 children, and they can juggle that kind of love. Why couldn't they juggle?
Right, like that women are capable of loving more than one person, and love multiplies for us, right? Like, we can have, as you said, it's excellently put, multiple children, like, and love all of them really equally and differently at the same time, which is really what people sometimes don't understand, and I have 3 children and I love all of them, the same, but also differently, like,
exactly.
And to take that and move it into a romance way is something, but I know 100% you're going to get a slap and tickle in my books, 100%, for 10 years now. Good. I receive a lot of emails from people that are like, hey, it's total escapism and it's just what I needed. And I really think in this strange pandemic fueled time, there's no such thing as too much escapism, I think, for all of us. So yes, 100% sex in these books.
Indeed,
100%.
Indeed. Where can we find, you say you're everywhere, but can give us the insight of where we can find you?
So I have a Facebook group called Rebecca's Randomness. That's where I am almost every day. It's my reader group. I interact there all the time. I love talking to my readers. And then there is my website, which is RebeccaRoyce.com, where you can find anything you might like to purchase or join my newsletter or, all of that, good traditional stuff. But if you just want to chat with me, Rebecca's Randomness on Facebook, you're going to find me there all day, every day, because I write with it on. Like I'm sitting there, writing, and then ding, and I look, who's dinging me, and I communicate. I'm
Rebecca's Randomness or Randoms?
Rebecca's Randomness.
Okay, because there's a Rebecca's Randoms group as well.
Yes, maybe. I didn't know that, but that's very funny. So Randomness is me.
Randomness. Okay. Got about 2.3. Let me go in there and okay, private group.
Yay!
Yeah. So let me click join group. Joining as Naleighna Kai, so it'll be there.
Yay! I'm glad to have you. That's really.
How did I find out about Rebecca's Randomness? From Rebecca herself. So,
yes.
Herself. I read The Kidnaps, asking, have you read before? Yes, mine was Kidnapped by, that was the first time I had ever heard of reverse.
Right, because you and I were both still in ebook publishing in some ways. I think I had started to transition, so had you. But it's but you got us through that panel.
Oh my God. That was an awesome panel though. That was through Kelly Peterson.
It was, but also thanks to you. It really was thanks to you, because you were so friendly, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm shy in person. I'm shy.
It was good times. That was the RT Book Lovers Convention.
Yes, it was.
I think it was in Vegas.
It was New York, wasn't it? Or were we in Vegas? I was at both. Vegas. We were in Vegas. That's right.
Yes, that was good. Oh my God, we had such a great time down there. And
but I really credit you. I really credit you because you were so friendly.
Oh, gosh, see, make me blush. I'm not supposed to blush. I don't even just. Okay,
I
so
think you recognize, you're like, oop, she just went shy.
it was good. Those kind of conventions are a wonderful way. People think it's just like readers connecting with authors, but authors connecting with authors at these is, having you to come on to the Cavalcade this time. I would not have had this connection had I not,
Right.
met you
Because,
at
and
the
I
convention.
always, and I know I'm crediting you, but you were so kind to me, and when I got shy in the middle of it, and you were just so good to me, and I just remember
I
thinking,
just cannot picture you with this. I don't know.
and I just remember thinking, she is so kind. I had that thought, like, she is so kind.
Oh.
She's so talented, and she's so kind to me as I'm freaking out in this moment.
And wait, and then I've got tribe members in the background saying, "Kind, really?" They're like, "We don't see none of that." She's
No,
cracking
you
the whip
were.
on us.
You were like so good to me. I was like, oh my God, there's people and they're all looking at me.
Yeah, yeah. And that's sometimes when people have a conception of writers that they're in
Right.
their writing cave and all of the that used to work way back in the day, but now
No, we have to
we
be out
have
there
to
now.
get out.
Yeah.
Get out and we get to meet authors and be involved. So the days of there are some people, once they establish at a certain level, then they can go into their writing caves, but first coming out the gate, readers kind of want to get to know their authors on a more personal level.
And Kelly was like, go do this. Kelly was like so enthusiastic and such a cheerleader. Go do this. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Oh, that's too funny. And wait a minute, here comes the tribe person said, that's what I'm saying, laugh out loud about where's the kindness. I see you, Carol. She's working on her first one, so I'm cracking the whip on her. So it took her
That's good.
come up with a good title. There's hell up in this house.
That's
so
right.
I was like,
You're
now that's the title right there. She had kind of a very mild title in the beginning. You got to have the kind of titles that,
right, like Kidnapped, like a strong title that gets people to be like, what?
Kidnapped by her husbands with an S right there. That's it'll either turn you off because you're like, oh,
no, I don't want that.
It'll be like, ooh, what is that?
That's right.
I think a lot more people be like, ooh, what's that? Than the
people
other
kind of were. They were like, there's an S. They were like, what does that mean? How does she have more than one? And then it did. And then they were sort of like, I get a lot of emails that people are like, it really hooked me. And I read all 14 books and I can't, believe, I wish we could, when
and they weren't cliffhangers, were they? There's
cliffhangers every odd book, but the series is finished. Like it's finished. So there's no more cliffhangers to be had. Like it's finished. So book 1 had a cliffhanger, book 3 had a cliffhanger, but like book 5, but then
because it's a new heroine every
2 books. So like you complete her series and in some ways she's connected to the heroine before her, like in some ways, and then it's finished. It's 14 books written, so it's done. The series is done. There's no more cliffhangers by the end.
So the 14 takes place all in the same world?
All in the same world. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know you said there's some takes place in contemporary.
I'm sorry if I was confusing. That's a different series, but like, so, the first book, Kidnapped by Her Husbands, is Melissa. And then book 3, Crashing into Destiny, is Melissa's daughter, Diana. And then Diana has a best friend, Paloma, and then Paloma has a sister-in-law. Like you start to move through their series, how they're all connected ultimately with each other. But it's 14 and it is finished now. So they could read that. They could start with Kidnapped and move through and not have to worry that I'm going to leave them on a cliffhanger. I never finished. I finished. It's finished.
That's good. That's so awesome. So give us your website, please.
RebeccaRoyce.com.
That was simple.
And you can sign up for my newsletter there and see everything I've written in 10 years. And some of it is, if RH is not your thing, and some people are like, I really like the traditional, male, female, romance. I have plenty of those as well. I mean, I've been writing romance for 10 years. So you can find something you like there.
Yeah, but what puts you on the map is the reverse.
The RH.
Harem. I finally got it right.
You got it.
At the end. Harem. Okay.
That's right.
I can even get it out real good. Well, I thank you.
Thank you, my
so
friend.
So much for coming in to speak with us today. It's Black Friday and everybody's
yes, it is.
Yes. And I said, hey, let's find some more authors and tell them where they
smart to do it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Indeed. I'm also going to let folks know, since this is my segment. Let's see here. Where is this right here. I'm going to share the screen. I've got some stuff on sale that people can go and check out as well.
Good.
I've got the Kings of the Castle is only 99 cents. And
Yes.
all my other ones, these were put on sale for Black Friday: King of Devon, Open Door Marriage, and Loving Me for Me. So make sure you go out and grab them, buy them for friends, tell your friends. I'll drop the link into the chat so people can get there. And Rebecca, if you can, I'm going to still have you as a panelist, so you can drop some information or a link to your books into the chat so people can go and click and start getting how can I say, introduced to what you've got going on. But I'm going to drop this Kings of the Castle in here real quick. That's the one that's 99 cents and get people started. All righty then. And thank you so much for coming through. I'm going to
I was so excited to be here. Thank you for asking me. Seriously, I'm such a big fan of yours. But I'll tell you again in front of everybody, like, you're such a talent, and also just such a kind, supportive human being. And like, I just feel really lucky to have been there with you that day, and how you sort of took me on in that conference. And
oh my gosh.
And really, like, thank you so much for
it was my pleasure. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. And you got everybody watching, please be safe out there. Okay, we're almost done with this time. I swear we are.
Yes indeed. Yes indeed. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
How you doing, Stephanie? Okay, well, she's not getting hers in, so let me bring in